there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then welcome. Today I'm going to be doing my first unhaul for 2020. I don't tend to do a ton of book unhauls, but I do have some books that I feel like are taking up some room on my shelves that I could use for other books that I'm more interested in reading. I'm going to be taking these books to the used bookstore I frequent called Second & Charles. They do give cash or store credit for books that you sell to them. It's not a ton, but it is enough to put towards a purchase in the store. The first book I'm unhauling is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K Choi. This is a YA contemporary, but it is geared towards older audiences because the two main characters are, I believe, in college, 18, and it follows Penny and the guy, I can't remember the guy's name, and they don't know anything about each other, and they kind of meet on a whim and decide to become each other's emergency contact. The main reason I'm getting rid of this book is because it was a DNF. I did not even finish it. I disliked the main character, Penny, so much. I found her just to be very, very immature for her age, and I found her to be just downright insufferable, and I really hated being inside of her head and reading from her perspective that I didn't even finish this book, so it is one that I'm going to be unhauling. The next book I'm going to be unhauling is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. This is a book that I read for my owls in April. This is a YA fantasy. I just didn't like it because I felt like everything about this book was underdeveloped. The characters, the world, and even the plot, there were just things that were thrown in just for convenience, and I just really did not connect with the story. I ended up giving it 1 star, and maybe there's someone out there that will enjoy it more than I will, so it is going in the unhaul pile. The next book I'm unhauling is Ink and Bone, which is the first book in the Great Library series by Rachel Caine. I tried to read this, I think, in March, and I also DNF'd it. I read about 50% of this before I decided to DNF. I just feel like it read as a very much older YA story. I think it was published in 2013, but I felt like the characters were just so stereotypical and so generic, and the plot, there was just so many things about this world that just, in my opinion, didn't flow logically together. I decided to DNF when the main characters of this training library decide to go to England because England and Wales are fighting a war, and it just, the whole war scene just didn't fit in with the story, and everything was so convoluted that I really lost a lot of enjoyment and decided to put it down. And because of that, I'm getting rid of the sequel, Paper and Fire. Luckily, I found both of these at a used bookstore and only paid a couple dollars for them, so I'm not too upset about getting rid of them, but this is a series that I definitely don't plan on continuing. The next book I'm going to be getting rid of is Ester by Angela Hunt. This is a historical fiction, but it is based on Ester, which is a woman that is talked about in the Bible from the book of Ester. And I was so excited to read this book because I'm looking to read more biblical Christian fiction. And I thought maybe Angela Hunt, because she has this whole series of biblical women, historical fiction, that I wanted her to be an author I really connected with because I wanted to read all of her work. And I DNF'd this about 50% of the way through, and I was so sad. But Esther was a Jewish girl, and she ends up living in a time where King Xerxes is looking for a new wife, even though he already has like a whole bunch of wives, because his previous wife dishonored him, so he basically demoted her to a concubine and is looking for a new wife. And Esther gets kidnapped by kind of like slave traders, but they're gathering girls to send to Xerxes to see if he wants them to be either a wife or a concubine. And it kind of follows her story. I have read the book of Esther in the Bible. I've read other biblical works based on her and studied her, and I felt like this book so poorly represented her as a woman of faith. I really wanted to see her as someone that I could look up to, someone that really had a lot of faith, and that was just not evident at all in the story. I really did not like how the author romanticized Xerxes and Esther's relationship, because Esther was just one of hundreds, thousands of women that King Xerxes had a sexual relationship with. So I just felt like it was more of a product of the time period and Esther's circumstance rather than it being a romance. I just didn't buy into that, and I think it is trying to romanticize a condition that women had to live in that time period of being treated more like objects than human beings. So I really disliked that, and unfortunately I don't think that I'm going to be reading any more by this author either. The next book I'm going to be unhauling is Inheritance by Christopher Paolini. This is a duplicate copy. I actually ordered this copy from thriftbooks.com when I was trying to finish the series, and it came without a dust jacket, which their hardcovers often do, and I ended up finding a paperback version of it at a library sale, I think last year, and all of my other books in that series are paperback, so I just bought it. So I don't need 2 copies of Inheritance, especially one without the dust jacket, so I'm going to go ahead and unhaul this as well. And the last books I'm going to be unhauling is the Wizard's First Rule trilogy. I think that's what it's called, by Terry Goodkind. This is a series I read when I was like a junior and senior in high school, and I really liked it at the time. It was a series that got me into reading fantasy. Unfortunately, I did not even finish the series because I think there's like 10 books, and the books just got progressively worse as the series went on. And I remember loaning 2 of the books to a classmate of mine. We used to like trade fantasy books. I loaned him the last 2 books in the series, and he loaned me Game of Thrones. And I actually didn't even ask for those books back because I knew I wasn't going to finish the series and I didn't even like them. But I do have about 5 or 6 of the books in this series, and I know I'm never going to read them again. So I'm just going to get rid of them and free up some space on my shelf. I don't know if Second and Charles will take these because they are very old. They're not in terrible condition, but if Second and Charles does not take them, then I'll just go ahead and drop them off to my local Goodwill. And the books that I'm going to be unhauling in this series is The Wizard's First Rule, Stone of Tears, Blood of the Fold, Temple of the Winds, and Soul of Fire. Okay, you guys, so that is it for my first unhaul for 2020. Like I said, it's not a ton of books, but it will clear up a little bit of space on my bookshelves. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books and what you thought about them. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so by hitting that subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon, so you can be notified every time I post new content. I post videos every Sunday, and sometimes I post bonus videos in the middle of the week. And I will see you soon with another one. Goodbye.